I had to go through, divorce to understand and have empathy. And then I had to also experience grief to understand and have compassion. So everything that you heal, you need to first go through it to understand, whoever you'll be guiding, or not really healing, you basically guiding and confirming to people what they already know.
Welcome to the Reinvent Health podcast, where we explore what it truly means to thrive in body, mind, and spirit. I'm your host, NicciRobertson, and today's conversation is one that invites us to slow down, listen deeply, and reconnect with something ancient yet profoundly relevant in our modern world. My guest is Gogo Hopane Masekela, a traditional healer, grief and divorce coach, Reiki practitioner, and passionate advocate for the protection and integration of indigenous healing practices in South Africa. She is also a speaker at this year's Organic and Natural Expo, where she'll be sharing her insights on emotional, spiritual, and energetic health. This woman is a true force of nature, bringing Africa's own medicinal culture onto the world stage. This episode is about healing beyond the physical. It's about reclaiming our intuition, honoring our pain, and remembering that wellness isn't just something we chase, it's something we return to. Gogo Hopane, thank you so much for joining me on the Reinvent Health podcast. I always like to start by asking, what is your story and what led you down this path of traditional healing and wellness?
Thank you so much, Nissi. My story is quite intricate. But I will do my best to keep it as concise as possible, because this was not my plan, Nissi. I had, business plans, traveling, globe trotting. And then I turned 30. That was in 2014. And that's when all hell broke loose. Like literally everything fell apart in my life, my relationship, my everything. Like I even resigned at work, and this thing just hit me. And at the time uh I had actually one child, but I had no clue that my second daughter was coming as well.
Oh my goodness.
So I thought it was just, hormonal. Then my grandmother had like a stroke, and then followed by dementia. And as soon after that, uh, then this thing, I literally thought I was losing my mind, because I would wake up from a very intense dream, mainly about waters, but I wouldn't know where, or they'd point like a mountain somewhere. And I'd have this urge to just get up and go.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time, it was so intense. I can't, I wish I had like, maybe I should write a book, but it was so intense that, just to give an example, think of someone, think of an idea, have this urge to do it that week. Um, I had this thing that I have to register a political party, and I already had the name and how it would pan out, and then boom, contact the person, went to IEC. When I got to IEC, they said, no, there's already Ubuntu political party that's registered. The contact person is in Mpumalanga. And I'm like, give me the details. Call the person right there. I'm driving to Mpumalanga now. I meet this gentleman, Michael Tellinger. But now I didn't know it was all leading to my healing journey, because Michael Tellinger is all about consciousness and extraterrestrial, And then when I get there, he's like, where have you been? I've been waiting for you. And then, that's how intense. Then next week, it's something else. But I was literally meeting all the people who were going to bring all this wellness and healing, almost like together.
Yes.
And then along the way, so since 2014, I've been meeting different gobelas, different mentors. Some have taught me tarot, others trained me in Reiki, others traditional medicine. I I even took some people to there's Mudimule, a holy mountain in Limpopo.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was a full-on awakening that was mixed with grief, healing, and understanding my lineage, my father's side, which is the Masikelas, my mom's side, Masondo, and it's like literally KZN and the North, and all these people were trying to communicate with me all at once, and
Okay.
yeah,
So
that.
let's pause there because that's a lot. I mean, I mean, not most, but many healers have a crisis before their world changes. I mean, a lot of us go through some kind of having to reach the dark night of the soul before we start looking for the light. But where were you in your life before this awakening happened? Did you have any spiritual or healing inclinations as a younger person, or was this all happening at once?
So, uh, in hindsight, I think my grandmother knew that I need to do this because even Uncle Hugh, I got a scholarship to go study at University of Stirling.
Uh-huh.
He was like, "No, you can't go. You have a lot of work to do." But I didn't understand. And at the time, I was a lecturer at a University of Technology. I
Wow.
thought I was going to, do my research, offer my,
Yeah.
youth development. I had these big ideas,
Other plans.
other plans, be this beautiful married girl who's, global trotting. And yeah, and it was all disrupted. When I say disrupted, I mean I woke up and my life was changing, and
Yes.
I didn't understand what was happening or who to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So you hold space as a traditional healer, a
Yes.
Reiki healer, a
Yes.
grief and divorce coach. That's a powerful combination of
Yes.
modalities. How do these roles complement each other when you work with individuals?
So, I had to go through divorce to understand and have
Yes.
empathy. And then I had to also experience grief to understand and have compassion. So
Yeah.
everything that you heal, you need to first go through it to understand,
Yes.
whoever you'll be guiding, or
Mm-hmm.
not really healing you, basically guiding and confirming to people what they already know.
Yes.
And at the time, as soon as I was done with my initiation, I reconciled with my husband and we remarried. And
Oh, wow.
then we had our third, actually our last daughter. So we've got three daughters. So it was more of something that had to be done for me to
Yeah.
get certain things and I had to go to KZN and different places for some
Yeah.
time. And when everything was done, that was end of 2018. We
Yes.
reconciled and we we fine now. Like sometimes we just laugh
Yeah.
at everything. Yeah.
Wow. So that must have been quite, I mean, we all know of people who go through, separations and divorces but before we get into what I really am here to talk to you about today, I'm
Yes.
really curious about how that experience transformed your relationship with your husband. Were you a different person the second time around?
The second time around, I was a totally different person. So think
Mm-hmm.
of um a girl who goes to church,
Yeah.
family orientated, and now I'm very determined and very, you could even say masculine, but now my voice is very low.
Yeah.
And when when I have to, for example, there was a time we went to the Mushwesho hike, and I'm like, "Are you keen on going? Because I'm going on the hike." It's no longer like, "What plans do you have?" You know?
Yeah.
It's more like even last year I went to Brazil, and I'm like, "I'm
Right.
going to Brazil. Are you coming with?" You know? So I'm very assertive. So it's a very totally different person
Yeah.
to the one
It's
he met in 2007. Yeah.
yeah. So many people take a lifetime, they 30, 40 years to reach especially women, a point of maturity where you find your own voice
Yes.
and you are brave enough to almost speak up for yourself. Why do you think you had such a fast track experience?
I honestly think timing, because
Hmm.
I read somewhere that um during puberty or when your period comes as a woman, it's almost like a veil lifts.
Yeah.
And for me, I started my periods really late, so that was like in my trick. And
Yeah. Wow.
and my healing journey also started late, or
Hmm.
I was told late, even with Gogo with Hopane Masekela.
Hmm.
My father only told me really late about him, because there was a lot of around healing or spiritual people, there's a lot of shame that
Yeah.
comes with you taking up this work. So, and now in hindsight, I've always been like, I don't know what to call it. It's more like the black sheep of the family.
Uh-huh. I get
And,
you.
and you
Yeah.
become very misunderstood. And, but now I understand why, because there was this, this thing waiting for me to,
That's right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we live in a world that separates science from spirituality. And I think it's that gap is closing. We're seeing a lot of closure between the science and spirit. How do you help people reconnect to the wisdom of their ancestors while still living and navigating through a modern life?
Okay, for me, I honestly try to use both spiritual and science uh together. So for example,
Yeah.
there was a client who came and they had an issue, and I was very honest that what's coming up is not um it's not mental health, it's a blood issue.
Uh-huh.
So sometimes the science actually confirms for the client to say, oh, this is actually, it's not a spiritual thing that I need to look at. But
Yeah.
the integrity of ancient healing, like I refer to it as AI, like that, and ancestral sorry, artificial intelligence, but ancestral intelligence. Yeah. So when someone walks or comes to check what's happening, they already, I don't know how to explain it, Nissy. So if you have to do something, it's more like my ancestors connect
Yeah.
us at this specific
Okay.
time, so that the
Yeah.
science and the spiritual side basically just offers,
Yeah.
so the science will just offer validation for what
Right.
is actually already there. And then we just
Right.
bridge that together, or bring it together with the ancestral intelligence. Yeah.
Okay. Can you take me back to your first experience when this happened to you? When you got the message, when you got the I can't even call it an instinct, but the almost the prompt. You knew what needed to be said. How did that happen for you?
So after I finished the Reiki training, um, this lady contacted me that she wants to come do Reiki in 4 ways. And then I said, you'll be my first Reiki client, but I do throw
Right.
bones. And then she said, yeah, I think, I'm not very spiritual. I'm looking just for the energy because I have a really sore back. And then
Uh-huh.
I was like, okay, I need to tell this person what's really happening. You know, it was almost
Yes.
like an innate that I need to tell this
Yes.
person the truth. Yes, they say they don't
Yeah.
believe in spiritual things. It's more like yes, scientific or science people who want to see evidence. And then eventually, when the
Sure.
person came, I did the Reiki they requested. And then I also said, if you would allow me to just share what I dreamt about. And she was like, yeah, I'm not really into spiritual things, but the fact that I came for Reiki, I guess there's a message that I have to hear. So I just showed her my notes. Like when you type on your phone, it
Yes.
shows you the
Mm-hmm.
time the message was typed. And
Mm-hmm.
then I just shared the message, and that was it. So it all
That was
aligned,
it.
the modern healthcare and um, the healing side. So which was the Reiki, but she also had to go do other scientific follow-ups. Yes.
Yes. To verify that it was actually what was happening.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So you work with many people who are experiencing grief, experiencing loss, who are going through divorce, or even disappointment. How
Mhm.
do you help people process these? I can't call them negative emotions, they're just a process of life. But how do you help people process these experiences in a way that honors their journey without rushing them through healing? Because, like this woman who came to you, she was looking for, we all look for a quick way to fix a problem,
Mhm.
whether it's a back problem or it's depression or anxiety. We want results. And it seems when we're looking at ancient modalities and more spiritual ways of healing, how do we honor the process without speeding that up?
So I always explain that it's more like the work is sacred and the work needs time. So if
Yeah,
if we're planning to go, for example, to that Mudimula Holy Mountain, we have to sleep over there. We need to listen to what the messages are. We need to prepare, like purge. Um, we need to
right.
steam. We need to. So it's not rushed. You correct when it's not rushed.
Yeah,
But with grief,
right.
what I've realized is um the it's not just death. It's also a loss of um like the on Thursday, I had a gentleman who
Hmm.
had almost like it stemmed from loss of money, but then it also brought
Right,
grief in terms of how the family expects him to show up. So, for example,
right.
now that he lost his income, yeah, I'm trying
Right.
to also protect my client by not being too specific, but
Yeah.
now that he lost his income, how is he now showing up to his
Mm.
family who almost like have are not seeing him the same?
Sure.
And that you can't just do that in one session. So it's more like speaking to and then he also mentioned that he can't sleep.
Right.
And now, so it's almost like it's a holistic thing that
Mm.
we on now, but gently.
Mm.
So it's a very gentle, um, yeah, it's a very gentle and also unique to different people. Yeah, so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I can't really
Yeah.
say like uh I'll do
Yeah.
the same with the next person. It depends. Some people just want to give you a call and have someone listen to, not agree to what they, but some to just
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
Once we done, it's not even about me doing anything, but just being there to listen. And someone says to you, sometimes I see the person in the room. So they come to me because it, when you when you sorry, I just remember a joke. Someone was saying, um, if I had to tell this to my therapist, they're gonna put me on and we laughed and laughed about it, but I was like, if it does get serious, I need
Mm.
to refer you.
Mm.
But she was like, and I'm just glad you understand ghosts.
And I think it is so important, and part of the healing for so many of us is simply to be seen. We're not
Mm,
looking for someone to solve our problems, but we just need an empathetic ear, somebody to just hold space. And a lot of the healing happens in that space where we can just be there for each other. So that's a lot of wisdom in what you've just said.
thank you, Nisi.
And what you were talking about your client, and I think in this day and age where there's a lot of people are losing their jobs. It's a difficult economy, and we've put our identities on our income and what we can
Mm,
provide for our families. We've almost got to go through the journey of reframing who we are in the world, and that is really tough. And it's difficult for men, it's difficult for women. Um, and the healing really happens when we can facilitate a different like almost a reframe for each other.
mhm.
I think that is so important.
I totally agree with you because how I'm gonna call it Western like even with when the client said they would have just it's almost like she made this expression of being pumped, being
Yes.
with medicine.
Yeah.
Um, and I just realized it made me realize that yes, being a healer comes with a lot of responsibility because
Yeah.
this person only wanted someone to hear them. But if they had gone the Western route, not that I'm, shunning the Western method, but sometimes we're very quick to administer antidepressants or whatever is available just to numb. And I honestly feel when I went through my spiritual awakening back in 2014, had I gone to a clinical psychologist or psychiatrist, I would have never
Yeah.
been where I am now because everything was just going to be numbed. And I think I
Yeah.
wouldn't had the opportunity to experience everything I had to
Yeah.
experience in order to
Mm.
understand
Mm.
community and the different
Yeah.
the experience to go through the experience. So sometimes even during grief, you need to go through it because when you don't or you rush it, then later it comes back as like a stroke
It does.
or clots or or something in your body because your body does communicate with you
It
daily.
does. It does. And I think we've lost sight of that nowadays. We almost separate our emotional body from our physical body.
Yeah.
And really, this is why people are getting sick.
Yes, Nisi, and also the go, go, go. Yeah, it's been hectic for a lot of us in terms of,
Yeah.
you know, society expects you to show up this way, work.
Mm.
And for example, you have a podcast, you have to look a certain way, you have to do
Yeah.
this, and yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. How do you protect yourself? How you working with people on an energetic and a spiritual level all the time. And although it does feed us when we are there for people, um, it can also we also need to reset and recalibrate. How do you balance that in your life?
So for example, this year my theme is peace and every month I have a specific theme. So rest could be a theme.
Mm-hmm.
Nourish, could be a theme. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And then I also take breaks. I don't work throughout. Sometimes
Yeah.
I refer a lot of people because the other people that I help to initiate or I have guided, I refer to them, especially when I know I don't have the skill or I'm resting. And
Yeah.
I go on a lot of hikes. I also take my own medicine. So
Yeah.
some of for example, the herbs and things I give clients, I also take myself.
Yeah.
I also go on, a cleanse. I go to the river. I sometimes when I wake up and I had a really bad dream, I'll wake up in Palaza, for example,
Uh-huh.
you know, or if I feel that something is saying don't go
Yeah.
to specific person's house or meeting, I'll send an apology. Before I used to explain myself, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, unfortunately, it won't work out.
Yeah. Hmm. And that is really owning your power, isn't it? It's you don't have to make excuses for why you don't want to do something. You trust yourself, and that's super powerful.
But it wasn't easy getting there because I was like, oh, pleasing
Yeah.
everyone. But then I realized, yo, I'm so exhausted and the things I had planned, I, I haven't
Yeah.
done any.
Okay, so let's talk now about African plant medicine because this is your passion. This is what we're going to be connecting with at the Organic and Natural Products Expo, which we'll talk about just now. But let's start with, looking at the world stage. For example, there's a lot of attention now on psychoactive substances like psilocybin and ayahuasca. This is ancient plant medicine
Mm,
from other parts of the world, but Africa has its own deeply rooted traditions with sacred
mm,
plants.
mm.
Tell us your story and your connection to plants and how you see the role that they've played in your work, and what is the future for African plant medicine in your thinking?
I honestly think for Africa, it might take longer than um, like first world and countries because at the moment we're still struggling just with CBD cannabis. So by the
Yes.
time we get to understand or regulate psychedelics, we need at least another 10 years. But what I've
Uh-huh.
learned with a lot of the African bark, like the bark roots.
Yes.
So how we consume, so even though I've got capsules that I give clients because it's more discreet. But there's this method. You take a 5 liter bucket and then you put, for example, the African dream root. And that root is a psychedelic. But you swift, when you swifting like flour when you're mixing?
Yes, yes. Sifting,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, you
Yes.
take something like that and you swift it and you swift it and it bubbles up. And once it's bubbled up and you almost like slurp it in. And I'm telling you, the psychedelic healing effect, it's similar. But
Okay.
now, because when you take something like that, because it induces, like a visionary state,
Mm-hmm.
normally you do it when you with like a gobela, which is like a guide or a healer that's training you, or someone who's going to give you emotional,
Support,
support
yeah.
during
Mm-hmm.
that period. But in the continent, they have been taking psychedelics, but they're named differently. And these, as spiritual, what spirituality grows, they, then people will understand. Like with the upcoming organic expo, I'll be speaking
Yes.
mainly on the muti and the ecosystem around that, because at the end of the day, how the muti is harvested affects the person who will be taking
Yeah,
it. So
exactly.
there's a lot of mis I think it's not yeah, it's misdiagnostic issues at the moment. But I think
Yes.
once we get that right, then we'll be able to carefully administer and, control and ensure that the plant's power and the client's well-being is
Yeah.
also, um, you know, so for example, using microdosing helps because then the
Mm.
client gets to get a feel of, the energetic or how they respond emotionally to psychedelics. But because
Yeah.
it's still a sacred, um, I don't know how to explain it. Like with African spirituality, there's this honoring and sacredness around the plants and it's like a reverence
Yes. It's a
almost.
respect. It's a respect for the
It's a
medicine.
respect,
Mm.
yes, for that medicine. So at the moment, we need to just, um, yeah, try and already take what is happening in other countries already, they're way ahead,
Hmm.
and then try to put it in the African standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of our listeners to the show who have experienced psychedelics. They've done journeys. This is not new to many people, and most people who've gone down this road do understand that if we don't have reverence for the medicine and we don't respect the medicine, it won't it won't be a good journey.
Yes.
And it won't be it's not going to be a good experience. So the set and setting, the respect for the medicine, and we don't need to do this with pharmaceuticals. You can pop a headache pill, and if you're not in a good mood, it doesn't really matter if you don't respect the panado, for example. But these are really powerful substances. So I think, when you say it's going to take 10 years for um, us to really understand and bring this into mainstream, it'll probably be quicker because when the ball gets rolling and when an idea's time has come, things work quickly. But I love what you're saying about really putting that respect for the medicine first. And you're speaking about this at the Organic and Natural Expo in September. What else are you going to be chatting about?
I am
What's driving your passion?
at the moment, what's really driving my passion is okay, definitely the Muti market because
Mm,
if you could see the ecosystem on Fridays, people from Swaziland, Lesotho, different Zimbabwe, they come together at Faraday Market and
yeah,
they bring different herbs
yeah,
and then they are distributed into your like into the different nyangas, which are the herbalists that are there. And those
yeah.
herbalists move it to us. And then we
Hmm.
move it to clients and there's orders like a whole it's more like the whole ecosystem which I'm hoping to explain. And then the second one is the
Hmm.
ancestral intelligence, how
Yes,
spirit still speaks, through different lineages, whether black or white or Asian or there is
yes,
something higher that we communicate or commune with. Whether you're using
yes.
food, but everything, I honestly believe everything breathes. You know,
It does.
everything has a
Mm,
pulse.
mm.
And with that,
Everything is conscious.
yes.
Mm,
And you see it even with
mm.
like pets, even with pets that
Yes.
we come across or we have. And then the other thing I would like to speak about is I think that falls under regulation because
Yeah.
when I was saying the 10 years in terms of psychedelics, I was talking about the regulation
Mm,
and so for example, as a traditional healer, you
yeah.
are able to have a certain percentage of, for example, cannabis with you or administer to patients and all of that. By the
Mm-hmm.
time they do the administering of psychedelics and, you know, because there's a lot of people who are arrested right now because of
Mm.
and I honestly feel as though even the World Health Organization understands African traditional medicine more than us as Africans, you know.
Yeah.
So the people in, higher powers don't really understand how
Mm.
to make sure that um there's still respect in terms of healthcare, in terms of traditional
Mm.
medicine, um,
Mm.
in that indigenous context. So that's what I'm
Mm.
hoping to talk about at the Organic and Natural Products Expo.
Yeah, I think that is a subject that really needs to get the spotlight. Are traditional healers recognized by the Allied Profession or the Health Professionals Council, or even the Allied Health Professionals Council in this country?
So so there's two.
Mm.
The legislature recognizes traditional healers, but they are specifically
Uh-huh.
called African traditional practitioners. But
Uh-huh.
for medical aid, they will not allow you to what? To y- for example, to
Claim.
claim, yes, when you go to a
Mm.
dentist or whatever, they will not allow you to claim
Mm.
because they are basically saying we don't recognize you. And then
Okay.
the so parliament and that's legislature, that's fine. And then as African National Healers Association, so this is like an association I was invited to join because
Yeah.
they were trying to find a way to regulate traditional healers. And then
Yes.
so they would invite us to like opening of parliament, invite us. People
Mm.
from Canada came to us for like research, and then some lawyers have also asked me to do, write-ups or commentary or,
Yes.
but when it comes to for example, planting specific herbs, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to the Department of Agriculture, guys, I'm a traditional healer. I'd like to farm, let's say, African potato.
Yeah.
No, you need to have this and this and this and this and this. Then I'm like, okay, so for someone who's a traditional healer, I'm not saying I'm better, but they don't have a business account. I've got a business account.
Yes.
They don't have an office.
Yeah.
They don't have an email address. So the things they request are not even close to a
Yeah.
traditional healer's Ndumba, for example, you know.
Yes.
So we are
Yeah.
trying to also bring in and advocate for recognition and inclusion in that healing or health system.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but now I'm starting to see why it happened to you because somebody had to be the voice.
Yes, and it's so scary because even some of the products
Hmm.
I sell, they've got CBD, and someone at work was like, "Why are you selling?" I'm like, "No, I sell that for
Hmm.
my clients, and I do have licensing as a traditional healer." And they couldn't say anything because I almost like know my rights.
Yes,
And I understand
exactly.
the
And
law of having, for example, cannabis with you or having specific
yes,
oils and things. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So you launching your own traditional medicine range. Tell us about that.
Oh, I am so excited, Nisi. I'm really excited because it's something I've been doing, but I had to buy those capsules, empty capsules,
Yeah,
grind the herb, put it in. So now I have partnered with someone who was saying, no, we've got a lab and we understand what you're trying to do, the vision, and we'll
yeah,
have, some of the medicine in capsules and some will still be raw. And yeah, I've got a store at robertaholdings.co.za, and I'm hoping to
Yes.
have um some of the samples at the excuse me, at the Organic and Natural Product Africa Expo. But we can
Yes.
almost like bridge. So I'm hoping to have all the organic and natural products with the root, like freshly harvested that
Yes.
week, and then show like a I don't know, like a framework to say it starts here. It was harvested from a farm
Yes.
and it was now packaged into this or made into a powder or made into this. So that
Yeah.
people get to
Yeah.
understand it doesn't just come to that capsule or the end product. That
Yeah. There's a
there's a
journey.
journey in those, in those yeah, in those products.
Well, all of the best of luck to you because this is huge. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's no one else doing this on this continent. And it seems like it's an idea that time has come. And, the expo is a great platform to get this in front of the right people.
The country director for World Health Organization South Africa, Miss
Yes.
Janez Al Halabi, she invited us to come and have a meeting with her
Yeah.
to prepare for this expo and do it so well. So she
Yeah.
was like, I've been in the country, but we haven't been able to. We've looked at this and that, but
Mm.
we want to. And on the 31st of August, um it's a traditional medicine day.
Yes.
And I was like, I only found out about this today. Like, I was not. Yeah, so it's almost like no, we're all awakening together and trying to make a way to work
Yes,
around the system, but also with respect and reverence.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, where can people who are listening to this episode connect with you? How do people get in contact with you and find out more about what you're doing and how to support you?
I think on email, because yeah, I think mporoberta@gmail.com or on the website robertaholdings.co.za.
I'll put those all into the show notes so anyone listening can just click on the links and find you directly. Is there anything else that you feel you would like to, a message you would like to leave behind for our listeners?
For me, honestly, let's just all respect one another
Hmm.
and try and find a way to, you know, align ourselves. You don't have to do it traditionally.
Yeah,
You can still align yourself, and so that at the end of the day, you find peace as a person. Because
yeah,
I've realized, like, we call it hlupheka. Hlupheka, it's not just being poor, it's also not having peace.
right.
And what you eat also changes whether you have peace or not.
It does.
I've I've even realized what doesn't go with me anymore.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of as soon as I've had that thing, I'm like, yo, I'm not okay. So
Mm,
be careful what you eat, or be careful what consume or put in your mouth,
mm.
and also find a way to align and it's not easy finding this thing. That's a problem. But find a community of people that you can be real and
Yes.
real with and raw
Yes.
with.
Find the
So
others.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
find the others. So if you're not okay, find someone like Nisi, or if you need help, find someone in terms of dietary or anything, find someone like, you know, to
Yes.
say, see, I'm not okay. You don't have to explain it in detail, but because there's a high rate of
Mm.
suicide that's happening now.
Yeah. And it's because we're not connecting with the people who see us. And it's really sad because there are people out there who really want to help and
Mm.
they're everywhere. You just have to ask for the help. So thank you for being there and doing what you do. You're a gift to the world, and may only good things come your way.
Thank you. I wish you the
Thank
same
you.
because you might think, this is a podcast, but it's the voice, and a voice, it's energy. So it's not just going to be here, it's going to transcend and be there. Even when we're gone, people will listen to this. So thank you for that.
I hope today's conversation has left you feeling seen, inspired, and maybe a little more connected to the parts of yourself that don't always get airtime. If you'd like to hear more, be sure to visit the Organic and Natural Expo happening this September, where Gogo Hopane will be speaking alongside other thought leaders in the natural and holistic health space. And if this episode resonated with you, please consider subscribing, sharing it with someone who might need to hear it, and leaving a review. It really helps more people find these powerful conversations. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and keep listening to what your body and soul are telling you.